Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I am the Twisted Jedi, and in this video today, I'm going to be giving you all of my tips and tricks, as well as the best star cards that I've found for the brand new Arc Trooper that has been added in the last update for Battlefront 2. So for those of you that don't know, the Arc Trooper does have dual wielding DC-17 pistols, and if you haven't had a chance to test them out yet, they are absolutely beastly. These weapons are so much fun to use, but they do take a little bit of getting used to because you cannot zoom in to aim. You're basically going to start off by hip firing with the weapons. You're going to be tapping the left and right trigger to fire that off. I'm not sure how that's going to go on PC. I think they might have a little bit of trouble using them, but definitely on console they are absolutely amazing. It does take a little bit of getting used to, so make sure you practice aiming with these. It's very similar, if you think about it, to Boba Fett and the way that he aims. You're just going to have to go off the hip with these ones. One tip that I'm going to give you is really simple, but definitely aim for the head when you're firing. This is going to wipe out enemies that much quicker, and they're really good against heroes and BX commando droids. The thing is, when you aim for the head, you're going to wipe them out in probably half a second if you're up against a commando droid, maybe a full second if you need it, and with a hero, if you land your shots, you can wipe them out extremely quickly. You'll see in the gameplay that's playing in the background that I do wipe out a couple of heroes. There's some really good takedowns of Count Dooku and things like that, so it's definitely worth aiming for the head. I suggest it every single time. The DC-17 pistols are good at close to mid-range. I wouldn't try using them at too far a range because they don't really do a lot and they're really hard to aim, but that's what you have the Power Blast ability for. So mentioning the Power Blast ability, that's what we're going to get into next, is all of the abilities for the Arc Trooper and how to use them. The Power Blast works similarly to Leia's secondary fire, however it does less damage and doesn't lock on quite as well. The aiming is required, so make sure you line up your targets and take your time when firing it. It's not like Leia's where you can just spam it and expect it to lock on and track to someone. You do actually have to have it quite close to the target you're aiming at for it to hit them in the end. So this is another thing that's going to take some practice to get used to. I'm personally level 25 with the Arc Trooper already. I've been practicing a lot. I've pretty much only been using the Infiltrator class since the update. I haven't even touched one of the heroes since then, so I definitely do know what I'm talking about. I've had a lot of practice, a lot of time in game to figure this stuff out, so make sure you guys are aiming this Power Blast correctly. I have managed to get the Arc Trooper to all purple star cards, and I'll probably max him out by the end of tonight. So for those of you that are wondering where I'm getting these tips from, it's just from pure gameplay and practice with the Arc Trooper. The second ability for the Arc Trooper is the Shock Trap, and this works much like Lando's Disabler ability. It's manually detonated, and instead of just stunning, it will knock enemies to the ground. This is going to be your bread and butter. This stun or this Shock Trap is what you want to be using every time you see an enemy creeping up on you that you get caught off guard by. So basically, the most effective way to use this is if a hero is coming at you, or even a commando droid. If you get caught off guard by them and you miss a couple of shots, the Shock Trap is going to be exactly what you want to use at that moment. Throw down the Shock Trap, hit stun as soon as possible, knock them to the ground, re-aim your fire, and again aim for the head. I've taken out multiple heroes, BX battle droids all over the place. This is what's going to help you with wiping them out if you don't get onto them early. Like I said before, they're great for taking on heroes and reinforcements, but be aware, if a Saber hero is blocking, they will not get knocked to the ground. This is a big tip, guys. If you see a Saber user in front of you and you've thrown your Shock Trap down, do not detonate it until they give up their block. If they're still blocking, it won't knock them to the ground. It'll just sort of half stun them for like a millisecond, and then they're back at you, attacking you. So this can lead to you dying very quickly. I would suggest waiting, or at least trying to roll and dodge until you can get it off when they're not blocking. If you throw that and you see an enemy is around the corner, you know you can push in there, or at least stun it when they come around the corner. One tip that I'll give you is to use the Helmet Scanner, which is the next ability we're going to talk about, in combination with the Shock Trap, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So the Helmet Scanner is the third ability, and it works much like the Scan Pulse from Battlefront 2015. It's really great for outlining enemies through walls, and a tip that I can give you with this is to use it when a BX commando droid has used their smoke. If you can't see through that smoke, activate the Helmet Scanner. You are going to get an outline of where that enemy is, and it's going to make it much easier for you to take them out before they get you, because their thermal vision ability is going to give them full sight through that smoke, whereas you only get a scan. So you've got to play it smart, make sure you get the advantage in this situation, and don't just try and shoot through the smoke randomly. Make sure you use that Helmet Scanner. Like I said before, combining the Helmet Scanner with the Shock Trap is a great combination. What you can do is use the Helmet Scanner, and if you know someone's around a corner, throw a Shock Trap in there, stun them, and then run around the corner and finish them off with your blaster pistols. The other way to do it is the reverse. You can pretty much throw your Shock Trap down, and if you see there's an enemy on the minimap somewhere nearby, use the Helmet Scanner to find their location exactly, then again turn the corner and push at them with your blasters. These two abilities work really well together, so make sure you're maximizing that as much as possible because you want to take advantage and get those kills like I do. In terms of star cards, I'm going to tell you the best 3 star cards that I have been using and I've found most useful while playing this game mode. The first star card is called Desperation, and this reduces the ability recharge time when taking damage. So the more damage you take, the faster your abilities will recharge. So basically this is going to keep you in the game. Don't take too much damage obviously because you're going to die, but the more damage you do take, it's going to help you recharge your abilities. So if you're like me who uses the abilities a lot, that is what you want to be doing, is making sure you get that recharge, regen your health back up, and once your abilities are good to go, jump back in there and attack again. The second star card we're going to be using is called Evasion. Now this gives +1 combat roll to you, giving you a total of 3, which is great for evading enemies and especially the lightsaber heroes. I went up against Count Dooku I don't know how many times, and the amount of rolls that I could put around him just to avoid him or get my shock trap down or get it detonated, things like that are really useful. So having that third roll there, as much as it encourages the roly trolley boys, it does help in this game mode. If a lightsaber user is pushing you, that's something you want to consider. Get your shock trap down quickly and use those rolls to avoid the lightsaber strikes. The third card is called Stalker, and it's the last star card that you unlock. This gives you a regen of health by defeating enemies that you've revealed with the helmet scanner. So like I said before, you want to be using that helmet scanner as much as possible, and this is exactly why. Not only does it help reveal enemies through walls, it will give you a regeneration of health every time you kill someone that's revealed by this ability. This can get you out of trouble a lot of the time, especially if there's multiple enemies in a room and you push in there quite quickly and end up losing a lot of health. Use the helmet scanner, wait for them to come back around the corner to push you, and wipe them out to regain that little extra bit of health. It doesn't seem like much, but it is going to help out in the long run. Now just a couple of final tips for you guys that may seem simple but might have slipped through the cracks throughout the video. The ARC Troopers are best suited inside the capital ships as opposed to on the ground. Inside the capital ship, it's a little bit closer quarters and less open space, so it's definitely more suited for the close to mid-range playstyle of the ARC Trooper. The next tip is another obvious one, and it's to avoid letting the BX commandos close the distance on you. The closer those guys get to you, the more chance they have of using their vibro sword, and if they hit you 3 times with that, you are going to be in a lot of trouble because not only have you already lost almost all of your health, you will be laying on the ground as well for them to follow up with one quick strike that's going to knock you out. So you want to make sure you keep the distance on those commandos and pretty much just take fire from medium range. If they look to push the distance, try and roll backwards a little bit and get out of there, because if that vibro sword connects with you, you're in trouble. Next up, to reinforce the tip I mentioned earlier, keep eyes on your minimap for enemies and use the shock trap to your advantage. That scan is going to be a massive help to you in locating enemies, so use that as much as possible. Finally, the last 2 tips is scan pulse as much as possible with the helmet scanner ability. This gives you every possible angle an enemy could be coming from. It'll help outline where they are, and it'll be much more helpful going on long kill streaks or even just staying alive as the ARC Trooper. I had a few people in my stream asking me how I was so good with the ARC Trooper, or how I knew where all these enemies were going to be, where to aim, how to shoot, all this kind of stuff. And the simple answer is you need to practice. It all comes down to practice in the end. Just get some game time in with the ARC Trooper. I know these rounds are long, that's why it's perfect to practice it right now. While the rounds are long, you can have a lot of time with that ARC Trooper, and that's exactly what I've been doing and why mine is at such a high level, and I can finally bring you these tip videos. I'm going to have a similar video for the Commando droid soon. I want to play him a little bit more because he is a little bit more difficult to master than the ARC Trooper. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to do so and turn on the post notifications as well. But yeah, that's pretty much all the tips I've got. I hope they helped. If you've thought of any other tips that we can add in at the end, make sure you drop them in the comment section below, because I can't always grab everything, or you guys might have figured out something that I haven't yet. So make sure you help out your fellow players by dropping that down below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a big thumbs up. I appreciate all your support so far, guys. This update has been huge. Capital Supremacy is a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing this guide for the BX Commando droid as well. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all so much again. I am the Twisted Jedi, and may the Force be with you always.